time to share it.
All right, we back. Another episode of Untold Sports Stories with Gerardo Byrne. I got my man Ruben Venegas. Went to high school together, played ball together. Now he is in Norfolk, Virginia, serving our country proudly, being a part of the military, as you see with his Navy sweatshirt on. What's going on,
Sir,
Rube?
sir. What's happening with you, man?
Shit,
It's
not
another
much,
day
bro.
in paradise.
Appreciate you joining the show.
Yeah, no problem.
Shit, how's quarantine life treating you, man?
Oh, man. I'm ready to get out, man. I'm cooped up in this house. This shit's been nothing but fucking boring. I've been playing nothing but video games.
I was say, what's quarantine life like for a soldier, bro? After always busy every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty nice. Honestly, it's kind of like damn near a free vacation because, I mean, they got us working from home, which is pretty rare, you know?
And I say, what do you do in the military?
I'm a damage controlman, so basically what that is Navy's version of a firefighter. So
Navy's
we fight
version of a
fires on the
firefighter?
ship. Yeah.
Damn, so how's that work from home, bro? Normally you got to be responding to calls, right?
Yeah, so I mean, we're on a ship, so right now our ship's not out, so basically just chilling at home.
To say,
on this quarantine.
you in the Navy branch, right?
Yeah.
Damn, so what's that like living on water?
Oh man, that's a whole different story, man. So you get out there and you're on the ship, you look around 360, all you see is water. That shit's cool, man. Like honestly, being on the aircraft carrier, like we've had basketball tournaments, like full court. Like we pull out the full court basketball and we have a big ass tournament. This
That's
is crazy.
dope. Yeah, I be seeing like some of those like bigger aircraft carriers will get like actual college games on it that they'll stream on like ESPN type stuff.
Yeah.
Damn, full basketball in the middle of the ocean, bro. Normally you would never think a game would take place there, but
Nah, so not too many people can say they play basketball in the Atlantic Ocean.
you know what? You're right.
I can say I've done that.
You right, bro. Matter of fact, they be good out there.
Yeah, people out here are nice.
That's cool, bro. That's cool. Well, let me take it back to the beginning. So you come from Lompoc, California.
Yeah, big Lompoc, born and raised. It's my hometown. That'll always be my home, honestly.
And say, tell the folks how that was like growing up, because as well you know, I know when you leave Lompoc and you tell somebody you from Lompoc, everybody asks, where the hell is that? And so
Exactly.
small town, what was that like growing up?
So I mean, Lompoc was good, man. Like you said, it's a small town, so it's easy to get in trouble. It's easy to stay out of trouble, really. I mean, depending on which route you take, but there's only two.
Yeah, that's a good
Really,
point you
there's
bring
only
up.
two coming out of Lompoc.
You went the route of obviously not getting in trouble. So how did that work for you? Because I wouldn't say Lompoc is like I wouldn't call it like no Compton or nothing like that, but it's definitely
No.
got the wrong elements around here that you can easily get involved with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's not hardcore, you know, like you think the scariest place on the earth, but there's definitely like since there's so little to do, people just have nothing better to do than get in trouble, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But you got involved in the life of sports.
Yeah, that honestly that's been my savior, really. Like honestly, me being on the right route has been all because of sports. That shit's fun. Like to this day, you look back and you think of all the memories, man. You think of all the teammates you've had, all the games you played. Like that's all you want to get back to, really. Like being in front of a crowd playing, like.
For sure.
It's
Hell,
all
me and Joe still bring up them high school football games today.
Yeah, he was sending me some videos, man. Every time I see some old stuff, I'm like, damn.
Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, when did you get what age did you start playing sports?
So I started playing at 9 years old. I didn't start too young, but I started at a good time. I was living with my grandparents at the time, so that was one reason I actually got really big into sports. My grandfather, he'd be out there teaching me how to play with baseball, football, basketball, track, anything, honestly. Anything that was sports related, I was doing.
Yeah, so did
Karate.
you have like a particular favorite sport, or you just loved them all?
So to this day, I mean, I would say football. Easy, but close second was basketball.
Okay. Now, you grew up in Lompoc? I came in very late and didn't really get involved in football till high school like that. But you played football all through like the youth leagues, right?
Yeah, I actually played. I played fucking technically 3 different leagues. So I played for Lompoc, I played for Cabrillo,
Jeez.
and then at one point they had this little like branch off from Lompoc. It was like the Outlaws. A couple of us played on that team, and technically it wasn't Lompoc, but we were still representing Lompoc.
Oh, for real? Okay.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Lompoc had so many teams in the YFL, you end up losing track. Um, in fact, I was talking to somebody who grew up here. You know, the way I describe football in Lompoc is when you're a young kid, you know, you don't really think about the NFL or college like that. You know, when you're a young kid, the dream is to go play under the lights at Lompoc High School. And you know, explain that for the people who was, you know, that actually grew up playing football here. You know, was that actually
funny,
true?
Man. It's funny, man, because I actually have a good story about that. So, me and my boy Vincent Cortez. So you know Vincent Cortez.
Yeah.
We were actually in middle school, right? And at that time, Mr. Boomerbach, the principal of the high school now, he was actually our principal of the middle school at LVMS.
Oh, damn.
So me and this dude, we were trying out for the basketball team, and on our last day of tryout, Lompoc High School was actually in the CIF game. So me and him ended up skipping the last trials to go watch the game because we were like, man, like this is a one-time thing, you know. This is more important than going to a little tryout. So yeah, me and Vincent actually didn't make the middle school basketball team because Mr. Boomerbach said that we skipped out, and like he wasn't okay with that. But like you said, Lompoc High School football. At that time when they were winning championships,
is that the first one?
Yep, that was the first one.
If I remember that correctly, that was the first one when they stopped them on the goal line, correct?
Yeah, that was a crazy game to watch. I still remember we were sitting in the crowd. We were hugging, we were jumping up like, oh.
I just say, yeah, like I remember hearing about it. As a matter of fact, like I said, I was still like somewhat new to the whole Lompoc area. So one, I did not know how big football was in this town. I remember like driving right past the high school as the game was going on, not realizing obviously how big it was, because not only was Lompoc new to me, I went to VMS, living on base and stuff like that, and so all everybody talks about out there was Cabrillo football. Matter of fact, yeah, we went to VMS for a year, I think, together. Yeah, and it was Cabrillo football out there. You know how they weren't necessarily that good, but yeah, what was that experience like? Because you were what, 8th grade?
Yeah, 8th grade.
Eighth grade.
But
so.
it's funny though, because before that time, growing up, Lompoc High School teams, they weren't that good. Honestly, like they were nowhere near a championship contender team until my 8th grade year when they won the championship. They started winning after that.
You know, okay, so that brings up even a better point because, like I said, I didn't get involved with it till high school when Lompoc was on the rise at damn near the top, and that's when you see all the little kids like always around, always wanting to can't wait to play under the nightlights. Like, did y'all really talk about that? You know, when you played YFL?
Oh yeah, man. It's at that time, Coach Jones, he actually became the high school coach. Somewhere when I was younger, but I remember him actually coming to our practices to just watch us and like always be, oh damn, that's a high school coach. Hey, you gotta do good, you know? Like he'd be like, yeah, you guys ready to play high school football? Like, you ready to be a Brave? And that's like all you look forward to, really.
But what was like that experience being in 8th grade, knowing you're about to enter the Lompoc football family, and then being in the stands when they won that CIF title in dramatic fashion?
Oh man, like it just felt like, honestly, seeing it, you just wanted a piece of it, you know? Like, you knew you were next coming up, so you know you had to put in your work, really.
And you said football was your favorite sport, but you played, you know, all types of sports growing up, right?
Yeah.
Did you always have that dream of, you know, wanting to play at the college level? Or was it just like, I'm playing it because I love it, and also, you know, you playing with all your boys and stuff like that?
Yeah, honestly, like, growing up, that was the dream. Like, I would sit there and watch highlights for hours, you know, like college football. Like, oh, I'm gonna get there. But as soon as I got to high school, I kind of started looking at it like, man, can I afford college? Like, it's really a good route. Like, and that's kind of what like leaned me towards the military. Like, I just kind of wanted to just get out there, you know, start my life early because I didn't see myself as a pro, so I was like, man, I could play 4 more years and have fun, but is it gonna be worth it? So I kind of made my decision. It was tough though, honestly. Like I look back on it, and I'm like, I really wish I would have played at least, at least a year of sports. At least tried it.
No, yeah, I feel that because I mean, me coming up, it was strictly basketball for me. Like I played baseball, but basketball was a sport for me, and I mean, like I said, we hooped together in the Boys and Girls Club League. First off, before we even continue side story, bruh, everybody hated my dad, bruh. I swear,
oh
bruh.
no, man, I loved your dad. That's crazy. Everyone did not like him.
They just didn't like him because he made us run.
One of my favorite coaches ever.
They didn't like him because he made us run.
Yeah.
I was like, I think after a while, he just kind of got used to it.
It's funny because growing up, man, like really, like my favorite coaches were the ones that disciplined. Like I don't know if you know John Hernandez.
Yeah, Coach Hernandez.
Coach
I didn't play
Hernandez.
for him, but I knew who he was.
Yeah, so a lot of people are like, man, I don't like playing for him. He be yelling at me, but those are my favorite coaches. A Big T, Toa's dad.
Yep, Big T.
He was big into yelling. You have good times when a coach is yelling at you, man. It means he cares. He wants you to do good.
I ain't gonna lie. I remember the first time I ever saw Glenn's dad, Big G. Like I ain't gonna lie. I was like, because the first time I ever saw him was when he was just yelling at a group of kids, and I was like, yo, that would low key scare the hell out of me.
Like, is this okay?
Right. But yeah, you get into high school, and you start the process of football. What was that like? Now transitioning from youth football league to the actual high school level.
I mean, really, I think the biggest transition, or the thing that was my favorite memory, is just like a lot of us were playing on different teams. A lot of us grew up together, but we were like, different leagues, different teams. Finally coming to high school, it was like, all right, now we're all together. We all grew up together. Now we're all on the same team. And you got one chance to make that team. Like, it's not like you pay and you're gonna be on the team. Like, you're gonna do good.
Yeah.
You got competition now.
Exactly. Like
starting positions. All
coaches aren't obligated to play you now. Like you gotta earn what you get. And even when I went to Lompoc, I didn't really have intentions of playing football, but it was like I knew all you guys kind of just like differently just by playing against y'all. Then obviously, like I said, going to middle school with y'all for a little bit. And then when I spoke to Coach T and Koo, like what really pulled me in was we had this, you remember Lompoc, those practice fire drills? And we got taken to the field, and I'm just standing on the field and looking at the bleachers like, this would be dope to play in front of this. And that's when I was like, you know what the hell, I'm gonna go out for it, bruh. And y'all were the real ones for like really talking me into doing that, because I definitely would have regretted not playing football at Lompoc considering how big it was.
Yeah, man. That was a lot of fun, honestly. Our freshman year, man, like I got none but memories, man.
Hell yeah. And
one thing I regret about high school football though is the whole move to Taft, where we was trying to get recruited in LA. When we went out there we
definitely gonna get into that a little bit.
Man, we got to talk about that.
Oh,
man.
We gonna.
That'd be weighing heavy on my heart, man. I think my high school days would have been a lot better if we never did that.
Yeah, we definitely gonna just get into that. But before we get into that, we'll just continue. So we finished our freshman year. I think we only lost one game, if I remember correctly.
Wait, did we lost a game?
Yeah, I think we lost to PV.
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
shout out Corey. Yeah. Shout out Corey and Koo's side. We got scored on because of them.
They're going to start when they see this.
Yeah, we be talking about that all the time. I blame them.
But,
they're the reason we lost.
We finished our freshman year, and now, you start moving up the ranks and stuff like that, and then our varsity team wins another CIF title that year, so, you just start itching to want to make varsity. But then the next year, what was JV like? Did you feel like JV was like I don't want to play JV, like let's just bump me up to varsity already?
Yeah, that honestly, JV's a hard. When you're a sophomore, it's hard because you're looking at the varsity team and you're like, man, I want to be there, And then we already had a few people that ended up going to varsity from our freshman team, so sitting there it seemed like you were just preparing to go to varsity.
Yeah.
It was kind of a waste of time. You wanted to be at that higher level, but
yeah, And I mean, a big regret of mine was I didn't play sophomore year. Uh, at the end of freshman year basketball, I told you basketball was big for me. I got pulled up for the playoffs and obviously one game out. But that's when Smith was like, "Yo, next year you're gonna be up here, so you got a taste of what it was like." So I was like, "All right, bet." So I spent that year getting ready for it, only to get put back down to JV again. So I was pissed. But I was like, "Yo, you don't make me miss a whole year of football to get ready for varsity just to play JV again." And I mean, when I look back on it, like, would I love to play varsity for sure? But I swear, our JV year, bro, was fun as hell because everybody was there.
And the crazy thing is about that. My whole story about basketball my freshman year. So I didn't play my freshman year.
Yeah, you wrestled your freshman year, right?
Yeah, because so the whole story is like Coach Smith told me like you're not gonna make the team, like, and I guess he was trying to tell me that to like hype me up, like to make me work harder. But I took it like, man, why am I out here if I'm not gonna make the team? So I ended up quitting, ended up going to wrestling. And Coach Elliott was like, man, why didn't you play your freshman year? I was like, because Coach Smith said I wasn't gonna play. And he was like, oh, you just messing with you, like you're doing good out there.
He's got some bad tactics.
Man, I look back on that and I'm like, I messed up. Like, wrestling was fun, but like I enjoyed basketball because when I came back my sophomore year, we was running it, man. Like,
and that's what I mean. Like, I thought sophomore year I was getting ready for varsity because I ain't gonna lie, it sucked when y'all would play either the Thursday nights or Fridays and I'd be in the stands like, bro, I wish I was out there, but there's a bigger goal in mind. And then just to go back to JV, I was like, bro, I missed a whole year of football just for that too. Like,
I ended up getting pulled up too sophomore year for CIF for basketball. So that shit was cool.
But our sophomore year basketball, man, because everybody was down there and we was having so much fun because. Matter of fact, me and Joe still talking about it, bro. Coach Fleming was hilarious, bro.
Oh, my God, man. I totally forgot about Coach Fleming, man.
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
He made JV, in a way, kind of fun, bro.
That dude was hilarious, man. Oh, man.
Hell yeah.
Baseline. Baseline. He'd be sitting there watching the clock.
He would sit there and watch the clock, bro.
He's like, what are you doing, bro?
Like, I'll never forget, because dudes would just stop and look at him like, yo, he looking at the clock, bro. We just going to skip like half of this shit.
Baseline.
Doing that, when he had us do the military push-ups.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Coach Fleming, bro.
Yeah.
And I remember
that was a funny year, man. Yeah. Joe would mess around so much. Man. Joe was infamous for messing around on that team.
Bro, him and G would mess around so much, bro. Like, that's what made it so much fun. Because I remember that year being crazy because...
Didn't we have Nate on that team, too?
We had Nate. Who else did we have? I think Richard was with us.
We had a lot of people on that team.
Yeah, we just had a lot of people we was just cool with.
What about Colin, man? I ain't seen Colin.
Bro. Ever since he left, I have not seen him, bro.
Where'd he go?
I have no idea.
I haven't heard about him, nothing.
Nope.
Man.
Ever since he left,
he just fell off the earth.
I have not heard a thing about where that dude went. Yeah, that dude just I don't know where the hell he went, but I think was
he's pretty good too.
Yeah, I think another crazy thing about Lompoc basketball was 80% of the team were football players.
Oh,
they once we got to the varsity, like they couldn't really start the season. They had to start the season with like JV players because everybody was still playing football.
Yeah.
But finally, junior year rolls around, and varsity. Finally on the Lompoc varsity team, and with actually a really good squad.
Yeah.
And you guys, you actually, were you a starter on defense?
I honestly, I don't really remember junior basketball too much.
No, football. We're back to football now.
Oh yeah, football. Yeah, football, I was actually starting at that time.
Yeah, you a starter on a arguably one of the better teams Lompoc's had.
Man, that was honestly like. That was a good time because that's when we first got Coach Sip. So
Coach Sip, yep. And I remember because Coach T wasn't going to coach varsity. He was going to stick to freshmen. And I think y'all were the ones that like convinced them to hop up to varsity with us.
Yeah.
um, but so we're in the junior year. I knew junior year was gonna be a year that I was just gonna have to, wait my turn for senior year, but just learn and gain experience. But bro, what was that like? Now, a couple years ago, you were in the stands watching them win a CIF title, but now you a starter on a defense and on a team that had the potential to go win one itself.
Man, that was an awesome team to be on. Really, like at that time, you know how Lompoc switched back and forth from Los Padres League to Pac-5 or whatever.
Yeah,
we were actually up, so we were playing Pac-5. So I think if we were back in Los Padres, we could have won that year. Honestly, like
for sure.
We played Chaminade, and that was
Bro,
not.
I was just about to get there. So we go through.
That was not the answer, man.
We go through our junior year, and I remember the craziest thing I saw that year. It wasn't even. This is before the playoffs when y'all put 80 points on the Pomo, bro. 80 points in a football game is unreal.
Yeah, that squad was good. Honestly, yes. That squad was really, really good.
That squad was just different, bro. All the pieces were there. The offensive line, the defense, Gage had transferred, quarterback. We had what they called the three-headed monster for our running backs.
Yeah, I remember the first playoff game we won. That was a big game. Like,
that's what I'm saying. So
that team was actually good.
We go 10-0 in the regular season, and then we see what bracket we get for the playoffs. First game was against Cathedral, bro. So what was that feeling like for you, being in your first playoff game under the lights, the crowd's now full, and
honestly, that was the first time where I got on the field and I was like, this is gonna be a dogfight, like. We're so used to winning games by a lot. We see a team, it's nothing,
Yeah.
When we started getting to those playoff games and the team started showing up, you're like, all right, man, it's time to play now. This ain't going to be no walk in the park.
And Cathedral was like I said, in that league, it didn't matter who you got. Teams were, good. And I remember, going into the halftime, the game was, real close. But I don't know, was it like that for you? Because I'm speaking now for senior year just for a quick second. When you got into those dog fights, those were the best games to play in. But now against Cathedral, I wasn't playing like that. But you were on the field, so did that make it more fun for you?
It's always the most fun, especially if you win those games. When you lose those games, that's the hardest loss you could take.
Right.
If you get beat by a lot, it's easy to take that loss because they're better than you.
For sure.
When you lose by a touchdown or something.
And
that's
then,
a tough feeling.
Second half came out and we went on a ferocious run and ended up beating Cathedral pretty good. I mean, the way I described that game was the final score doesn't depict how that game went.
Yeah.
Because, as a matter of fact, I remember telling Joe, I was like, for some reason, them receivers, bruh, could never catch when they were on their feet, but could catch when they was on the ground. It didn't make no sense.
Man, you don't understand. Trying to guard those dudes, that was tough because at that time I was playing cornerback. So
yeah.
Me and Koo, we were holding it down at that time, man.
Yes, sir.
You could ask him. Looking back on it, those dudes, oh man,
yeah. Cathedral is a little different. And then so we get through that next round, we go hit Santa Monica, and everybody knows who Santa Monica is. Being such a big part of California, and hell, they were a good team too.
Yeah, their quarterback looked legit. Yeah. I thought we was playing a D1 caliber quarterback at that point.
And then they brought 90 dudes, if I remember. They had a big squad with them. But we get through that, and so now we hit into the semifinals where we run into Chaminade. And for those that don't know, Chaminade is a college prep school that had arguably, I'd say 30 Division I players on that roster, easy.
The whole team.
Yeah.
That was the D1 team. What you talking about? Damn near.
That squad had so many Division I players. I think their quarterback, I heard he was a fifth-year quarterback at the time. He ended up going to Miami and drafted by Detroit, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But I think going into that game, I was just like, okay, so we're playing a prep school full of Division I players. I'm like, how did a small town public school end up in this league?
How is this fair, right? Like, how is this even? This don't even make any sense.
Like, in a way, I was like, this is somewhat a compliment for them to recognize like how good Lompoc is, being a small town. Like I said, we're just a school full of public kids who just grew up playing the league in the town, where this team got dudes all over the country flying in to play for this team. And I mean, obviously that game didn't turn out the way we wanted to.
Yeah.
What lessons did you take from that game? You know, seeing
From that,
what it was.
I learned a lot from that game. I don't know if you remember, but I actually didn't play the whole first half of that game.
No, I don't remember.
So,
was that, you get in trouble?
So we were actually practicing for that game, and I got sick, and Sip was trying to call me, and I wasn't answering his phone call because I mean I'm at home sick, you know, I'm throwing up and stuff.
Yeah.
And he took it as like, you know, all I had to do was answer the phone. Like me ignoring him was too much for a playoff game. So I actually got benched the first half of that game. I didn't play until the second half, and by that time we were losing by a lot.
Yep, and I'll explain the story real quick. They clearly came out and established that they were a better team than us. And it was 21-7, and I'm thinking we about to go into the half down 14. Like, you know, we're not out of the game. We still got a shot at this. But then in a span of like 2 minutes, it became 42-7 within the blink of an eye. I did not fathom what just happened.
Yeah, punt returns, all of that. Yeah, they're scoring everything possible.
Yeah, I've never seen 21 points put up so fast at that point. So yeah, 42-7. But what were you like being on the bench? Like, what was going through your mind seeing what was going on that field? Because like I said, that was a different team, bro.
Man, you don't understand the feeling of that. To get that far with the team, to be undefeated, to make it that deep in the playoffs, and have to sit the first half after being a starter the whole season. That was one of the worst feelings ever, man. I remember just sitting on the sideline like, what's going on? You know, like watching people score on my side, like, and just looking at it like, would that have happened if I was out there? Like, you know, like.
Did that motivate you for next year?
Oh, most definitely. If you think about it, man, like I stepped up to the plate my senior year. Like, I was ready for it. Like I was hungry that year. Like,
we about to get into. But before we get into the senior year, so obviously we ended up losing to Chaminade, and that team ended up going on to win the state championship. So I want to say it was that summer when the whole Taft situation came up. Was it going into senior year?
I'm not 100%
I know
sure.
It was in like, were you doing it the same time as Drayton?
Yeah, me and him were supposed to go together. That was like the whole
That
thing.
was towards the end of the school year, I believe, going into the summer of our senior year is when all that started to take place. So what actually happened, bro?
So speaking on that, man.
Because you obviously know you get two different stories when you ask both sides. So somebody was a part of it. What actually happened?
The way it started is because one of Koo's family members, his name is Joe. He's actually Koo's family member by marriage. So
okay.
We were out in LA one time. Me, Dre, and Koo, we're all out there, and he was like, "I'm about to be the head coach of a team out here in Taft. Like, I want you guys to come play for me." And Koo from the jump was like, "Nah, like I'm not gonna come out here and play." And me and Dre were like, "That don't sound too bad. Like, what's up?" And at the time, like, he was looking at me and he was like, "I don't know about you. Like, I want Dre and I need a quarterback." So we ended up going to this flag football tournament. He invited us out there. Went to this flag football tournament and we were showing out. Like, as soon as we were done playing, he was like, "I want both of you guys. Like, you know, like, I'll have you come live out here. Like, you know, you guys will be straight. Like, just play for me." And me and Dre were with it. Like, we were ready to go. Like, we were like kind of practicing with them. And what changed it was they went to this Las Vegas tournament, and I didn't decide to go to that one. I don't even know why I didn't go. But Dre ended up going, and I guess according to the high school rules, the CIF rules, he went with that team, so he wasn't allowed to play for us the next year. So that's where it all went bad. Like, he ended up applying to that school to go, like, actually live out there, and I guess he didn't like it, so he moved back. Yeah. But the whole CIF restriction, man, that messed up my whole career, because the whole time Drain was my quarterback in high school, you know, growing up, like, and being a receiver, like, we had that connection. So like that seemed like that would have been a good move for me. But after that, we ended up having different quarterbacks. So
Right. And the whole time, I didn't know you were involved in that. I thought it was just Dre. Because I was around when he was like I knew he was real interested in Taft, and I think I remember him saying like he was gonna do it, and I was around. I think when he was texting Jones that he was gonna make that move. I had no idea you was involved in that.
yeah, so I kind of got out of it because I didn't end up going to the Las Vegas tournament. Like and he full blown applied, so I didn't go that far. I wanted to, but I was kind of nervous moving to LA. That's a big move.
Yeah, and I think I don't know how much time he was out there. I know he moved out there. Then I think he said he didn't like it, and he came back. And then he ended up missing the whole senior year football team because I remember like it started to become a big deal. Like, was he gonna play or not? But he ended up missing the whole senior year, and so we go into our senior year with Torrey as our quarterback, and he's not a bad QB. But
no,
like you said, as a receiver,
Torrey was
Torrey was
big thing, at quarterback.
He was a good quarterback. But I'm curious, like you said, as a receiver, you said what was that like for you having to adjust to a quarterback that you had been playing with for 3 years?
That was a big thing. So I mean, at the time, like me and Dre had a connection. Like if he see me, he's gonna throw me the ball. And growing up, like I didn't really grow up playing with Torrey, so at the time, like it was new. So like we were trying to get into the groove, but I don't know. It was just a new quarterback. So growing up, like playing with somebody for a couple years, like it wasn't the same connection,
Yeah.
And at that time, my senior year, I didn't even end up really playing receiver as much as
That's defense.
More defense,
Yeah, he was a defensive dude for us.
I kind of regret that though, because I really think I could have contributed on the offense. Because I mean, you remember the flag football league, like
yes. How can I forget?
I was going off, bro.
Matter of fact, did you was that your choice?
That was actually my defense coach. Sip was like, I kind of want you to stay defense, and I was okay with that, just because like that that was my main focus.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing offense a little bit, but just not as much,
Yeah. And so we go into our senior year. Again, we got a real good squad, but now it's all on us now. Like junior year you was a starter, but still know you had another year, and we had a lot of talent surrounding us. Now going into senior year, it was us now.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like for you? Is that like?
I mean, one of my biggest accomplishments is being named the captain of that team. Honestly, like that seemed unreal. Honestly, like when they told me like, "Oh, Venegas, you're captain," I was like, I didn't see that coming at all. Like, I mean, I was captain like growing up through a lot of my teams, but I didn't. Senior year, like varsity football, like I'm the captain, like. That's a good feeling.
That shows the respect you have from the team, bro.
Yeah, for real.
So we go through our senior year, same thing. We go 10-0, going into the playoffs. Although we did have some real close games in the regular season. I think Lompoc we won in overtime, and St. Joe we beat by 1. And I tell you what, that was crazy that I didn't know about Lompoc was after we beat the Lompoc team in overtime. One, we got into the locker room and it felt like we lost. Like that was the type of attitude we took from it. But then going through that whole week, I think it was like written in the papers. Can this Lompoc team do it? This Lompoc team is not the same as previous teams. And so that's something I really didn't know. I was like, yo. There's actually pressure playing with this team.
Yeah. For some reason that year, like a lot of people did not think we were gonna do as good as we were. The whole season, they're like, they're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Are they really good? Like, I remember tweeting like one of the news reporters like, man, keep sleeping on us, and he's like, oh, I ain't really sleeping on you guys. I'm just worried, doing what I have to. But really, like, it just seemed like everyone was kind of against us at that point. They really wanted to see us lose.
They did. And like
being Lompoc, we had a target on our back.
For sure. Lompoc definitely had a target on his back. But after that, like I said, after that Lompoc game, it felt like we lost. And then not only were we hearing that throughout the whole week that, this team just showed they're not what they used to be in the past, we were getting ready for Nordhoff, who were like the two-time, I think in their division, two-time CIF champs. And
That
so
was one of the most joked games ever.
everybody was hyping that game up. I remember in film, Jones was like, this game's about to be on like Fox Sports West or something like that. They're the two-time champs. They're undefeated at 2-0, like we are. We're going into their house, and everybody just was hyping that game up. And then we go into their house and smack them 42-7. I believe it was something bad.
To this day, Joe be like, Nordal, Nordal.
Hey, bro, I still don't understand Joe for that. Like I said, he still got the sweatshirt, bro.
Nordal.
Yeah, because we actually went to.
It's funny because that's what it was. It really was just so much hype behind that game. Like we were nervous. Like going into that game, driving to that game, I was like, man, are we gonna lose? Like I was scared. Like this team sounds super legit. Like everyone was making them sound like they were not gonna be beat.
Yeah.
And growing up in Lompoc, we actually played Nordhoff when I was younger. And these dudes murdered us. Like, when I say it was the most unfair game ever, these dudes were like 6'3". Like, I don't know where they came from, but that team was that must have been the team that won CIF, because that team came to Lompoc when I was young, and they demolished us, man. And so when I got to that high school game, I was thinking the same thing, and I was like, man, this is not gonna be good.
Yeah. I don't do, like I said, I don't really like doing the if games and nothing like that. But I firmly believe if we were in their division our junior year, we'd have ran through. The team we had. But so yeah, we go to Nordhoff and we beat the brakes off of them. And I think that kind of put everybody back in line. Like, okay, this Lompoc is back to where they normally are.
Yeah.
Hold up one second. And so, like I said, we go through the rest of the year, blowing out teams. Except St. Joe. St. Joe was a close one. The funniest games to me were always Cabrillo, because that be the game that had obviously the most people, being that it was always the rivalry. But after the first quarter, the game was kind of over.
Yeah, really, it was just the rivalry. That's the only reason there was people there. But it was never a good game.
But
the basketball games on
basketball is different. We'll get into that in a minute.
Those are good. Those are good.
Those are different. But so we now getting ready going into the playoffs. We're 10-0. And so what is going through your mind thinking like, all right, this is our last shot to bring home a title for Lompoc?
Oh, I would give. At that point, I was ready to give anything I had. Like, I was ready to put it all out on the field. Like, that was my year where I was like, I don't care. Like, we need to win. Like, this is my last ride with a lot of these dudes I've grown up playing with. And man, I did everything. I feel like I put everything I could. I can't look back and regret, like, I wish I would have worked harder. Like, nah, I really feel like I did what I could.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we go into that number 1 overall seed. We're 10-0, and I still claim to this day, for a number 1 seed, what a tough road. Because our first game we get Camarillo, and they was no slouch.
Oh man, that team was. That was Bakersfield, right? That we played?
No, it was Camarillo. They're up by like the Oxnard area.
Oh, that's who we ended up playing first?
Yeah, Camarillo is who we ended up getting first.
Okay. Our
senior year.
Junior year is when we played Bakersfield.
Bakersfield was like a regular season. That team was
good.
Different. Yeah, that team was good.
Didn't we won that game or we lost?
I think sophomore year Lompoc won. I think our junior year we ended up losing.
Oh, okay. Because I remember that team was actually really good.
Yeah, that team was real good. So our senior year, we start off with Camarillo. And, hell, we was all hyped for it, too. And then our first series, our quarterback breaks his collarbone.
Oh. Tell me, our senior year injuries, that was the reason we didn't win?
We're going to get into that, bro, because
that's why we did not win.
We were losing starters left and right.
Our whole linebacker, I ended up playing linebacker my senior year, and I was not a linebacker. Like, I had to play linebacker. So,
yeah, not only on top of the injuries going into the playoffs, our first drive, our quarterback breaks his collarbone.
Man, and that was a terrible feeling.
I'm not going to lie. At that moment, I got kind of nervous. I was like, okay, what now? Because we didn't really have backup quarterbacks prepared like that.
No, and at that time, we really, Torrey was our go-to.
Yeah.
We really, it's funny because Joe stepped up, but he wasn't even like
No.
back. He was not back
The
there
only
taking
time
handoffs. Like,
Joe got quarterback reps in practice was when we went our like goal line formation. That was the only time.
who was our actual backup
Marcus
quarterback?
Gino.
Marcus Nix, right?
Yeah, Marcus Nix was our backup quarterback,
And I'm surprised. Like they were just like, Joe, you're playing quarterback.
well, because like I saw him grab a football and start warming up.
Yeah.
And I got real nervous because just based off that first series, I was like, yo, Camarillo is blitzing a lot.
Yeah.
And they're like, you could tell they really prepped for the run game. And I was like, is Jones going to trust them to make some throws? Because running the football is going to be a long game. And then, yeah, he was like, Joe, you're in. And I was like, wow.
Joe actually ended up going off.
Yeah,
Too.
you know, he ended up going off that game. And still, and you know what? Richard, Darius did too, because they made some unbelievable catches.
Man. They won us that game right there.
For sure.
Without those two, man, we would have lost that one.
I'll tell you what, after that game, I had never felt so beaten up. Like, yeah, I was like, bruh, like, are you sure that was just the first round? Because that team, every play they blitzed. They brought like whoever, it was like one-on-one man coverage for their DBs, and whoever was left was blitzing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that team did beat us up. Like,
yeah,
I really did feel like I was hurt after that game. Like
yeah.
That was a lot.
I remember waking up that Saturday morning for film. I was like, yo, this is just the first round. And so we ended up getting through Camarillo after a hard-fought game. And then our next game was Arroyo Grande, who was it was always a tough battle with them.
I have such hard feelings about that game because we beat them the first game of the season.
Every year we always started off with Arroyo Grande.
Well, we played them, our very first game of that season. Yeah. I think we beat them like 27-7 or something.
Yeah, we beat them pretty good. But then, going into that game, I was like, so you look at our other, I think the 2 seed ended up getting like Rigetti and St. Joe in the first couple rounds. I was like, that should have been us. Like, that should have been us. But so we get Arroyo Grande, and going into that, I wasn't like, I felt confident. Like, okay, we beat them before, and then they had just barely beaten Nordhoff 7-0.
Yeah.
Because that game went scoreless up until like the last few minutes of the game, and I was like, okay, like that gave me some more confidence. But again, we're going in, more injuries. I think if I remember correctly, that week of practice, you sprained your ankle, right?
Yep, that was, man. Yep. that ruined me, man. Because I remember so Blanco told me I had a fracture, like a full blown fracture. Going into that game, I taped up over my cleat. And before the game, we were running routes, and I ended up stepping on a helmet. And at that point, I knew. I was like, man, like, this is not good. Like, I actually, like, I'm hurt. Like, this game is not going to be fun for me. I played that whole game with a broken foot. Like,
yeah, because I remember seeing you limp, and I was like, bruh, we cannot catch a break with this.
That injury was crazy our senior year.
So we go into Arroyo Grande, and you know what? It actually started off in our favor. We're moving the ball down. Some penalties withheld that drop, but we end up going up 3-0, and we held them scoreless for the first quarter. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, like, we're down, but we can still, like, I think we can still beat this team. And I felt like what changed it was the punt that they dropped, and we ended up recovering. And then the referees said that they had gained possession, ended up scoring, and like the rest of that game, we would drive.
The refs were really kind of cheating us that game too. It was not even on that game. They were calling so many penalties that way.
Yeah, but then we always would put together drives. We just could never finish them. And we ended up losing pretty badly, and that was the end of our high school football careers, bro. So what went through your mind when that final tick went down to 0 and we were on the losing side?
I mean, honestly, I knew that was like probably my last snap. That was my last time playing football. And man, it just, everything went through my mind. Like, growing up, like, this is all I ever wanted to do, and to go out like that, like, it was tough. Like, that was as soon as we went out, was second round. Like, going out second round, like, that hurt, because I feel like if our team didn't get injured, like, we could have easily beat that Arroyo Grande team. And I think we could have. I mean, that year we had a good chance of going all the way.
Yeah, because I think going into AG, we were down like 8 or 9 like starters, like
Yeah,
that were, and
that
it
was like
wasn't
half.
just like. And when I felt bad for those dudes, because it wasn't just like cats that were suffering like mild injury. These dudes were suffering some serious injuries, and that's
Yeah,
what I
because
felt
I
bad.
remember we had like either Ron or Devin. I know there he was out for damn near the whole season.
Yeah, no, he got. The only reason I remember 'cause I felt so bad because Devin was one of our best linebackers, and we were in spring ball, and he was guarding me on a route. And I ended up catching it, and he stepped on my back foot, and that's when he tore his knee.
Oh
And so
yeah,
I
and
was
that
like,
was bad.
nah,
That was one of our big losses because,
yeah,
like you said, he was a linebacker and he
and
was
then
actually a big part of our defense.
yeah, and so we ended up, and everybody just started falling throughout the year. But that was the end of the football careers at Lompoc. I remember I was like one of the last ones to walk into the locker room, and when I got in, everybody was balling. I was like, God, like,
Yeah,
um,
it's
so that ended football. We jump into basketball, and basketball was still fun. Like I said, because we got everybody with us, and you brought it up. I think the best games were the Lompoc Cabrillo games.
yeah.
Uh,
Our team was actually pretty nice that year too.
yeah, I still hate that they beat us that first time at our house. Uh, but
Didn't we end up tying with them
nah, they
for
had us
like?
by one because we lost to Santa Maria the day before we played them again.
Oh, okay.
But we go to their house and we beat them, and I remember because you hit some clutch threes that game.
Oh, hey,
Hey,
I had dreams of that, man. Like
hey,
it's
bro.
crazy because I've never had like. So I shot the ball right, I made it, and it was like towards the end of the game. Like literally, my whole vision went blurry. Like that's how loud it was. Like it. Oh man, my like. It's funny because there's 2 times in my high school career that I remember things like that, and they're both Cabrillo games. So one time, I don't know if you remember this game. My sophomore year, they ended up throwing me a ball, and I pitched it to Vincent, and he scored a touchdown. So that Cabrillo game, like I remember the crowd went crazy because it was a design like catch and pitch, but everyone thought like because I was getting tackled. Like as soon as I caught it, I was already getting tackled.
Yeah,
So I threw it to Vincent, and everyone was just like, "Oh my god!"
yeah.
Like, yeah.
That
But
reminds me of
the Cabrillo basketball game was good.
that reminded me of senior year when Austin got stuck at the line, then he just threw it back to one of our linemen, and they ended up
Oh,
scoring.
to Graham?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody thought it was a fumble, or I thought it was by design when it completely wasn't. Because I remember blocking it, and I seen that he got stuffed, so I just turned around. I'm like, and Graham just ran by me. I was like, what? I couldn't even gather
Everyone
my
was so
thought.
mad at Austin, too. Like, the coaching staff, they're like, what was that? Like, because Austin just was like, fuck it.
Yeah, bro, it worked out.
Yeah.
So now we go through high school, bro. You brought the military. When did the military start really becoming like an idea for you to jump into?
So, to be honest, my first glimpse, like, really at military life, because I didn't have family members around me that were military. But, like, you and Gabe, really, like, so Gabe's dad was, like, my first kind of, like, military, like, man that, was, like, I seen him day to day, because I used to go to base a lot.
Yeah.
And growing up next to,
bro, that's a cool dude.
growing up next to the Air Force Base, I never went on the Air Force Base until, like, high school year. And I was with Gabe, so I kind of seen the things that they had, what they provided, and I was just like, man, this is nice. Like, this is kind of what I want. And just being around it, just really, Gabe's dad, really, like, that was a big motivation for me to join the military.
Shout out to Gabe dad, Eric Simon. I love that dude.
Yeah, man.
But why the Navy? The Air Force base we live next to is the Air Force. So what was about the Navy that stood out to you?
That's a big thing. I look back on it, I'm like, maybe if I would have, if I restarted, I'd probably have chose the Air Force just because it seems like a little bit better branch. Being in the Navy, like, it's nice. Like, my main reason why was because my uncle, I don't know if you know him, my Uncle Pete, he cuts hair. You probably heard about him. So most people know him. Yeah, so my Uncle Pete, he was actually in the Navy at one time, and he ended up getting kicked out one way or another. But that was my biggest role model growing up. So hearing his story, I was like, man, I want to go to the Navy too. Like, so that was my main reason.
I feel that because I remember they used to always have the recruiters come to school and get those presentations. And I remember telling my dad, I was like, I always been swayed from the military, but the way they recruit, bro, like they make it sound so good, bro. I remember one time I was in
Yeah.
class and I even filled out some information, like yeah, you know what? The way they make some stuff sound, bro. Ooh, it sounds like a good life, but
Yeah, it don't sound too bad.
it
I mean,
don't.
the military it really isn't. Like, it's not bad. It just, it got those things. Like, it could be strict. So
Oh, for
I
sure.
mean, you're
Trust
not
me,
used to
bro.
that
Yeah.
strictness.
You know, I completely understand the military life, having been around it my whole life.
Yeah.
Um, and so you go to the Navy, and did you go to first off before you even ask that question? What was boot camp like?
Oh man, boot camp was easy. I mean, after playing sports and going through that training, like boot camp was a walk in the park for me.
For
Like
real?
it was actually a lot of fun. Like I
Okay.
had a lot of fun at boot camp. I have some good stories where like they would have me like I was known for being like athletic in my boot camp division, so they would leave me in a push up position, like hands
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hands up, and they would walk away and come back like an hour later, and my back's like shaking. Like I've already fell like 4 times, but that
Jeez.
made me really strong. We actually had a competition at the end of boot camp, and out of everybody at boot camp at the time, I got the most push ups. I think I got like 142 in 2 minutes. So
Jesus.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. I came out of there feeling good. I was conditioned when I
Oh,
got
I
out of
know,
boot
because
camp.
when I seen you at a boot camp, I was like, Ruben done swole up.
Yeah, boot camp got me right. Like
And so you said that you were like the Navy's version of a firefighter.
yeah.
Did you start off that way, or were you into something
No, so
else?
I actually originally I came in as a a nuclear engineer. Basically, what you do is the ships are ran by nuclear power, so you're like in charge of like basically moving the ships through the water. And the schooling, man, it just like I didn't like it, man. Like it just like it sounded all good, it sounded fun, but that just wasn't, like it didn't
Yeah.
end up being something I wanted to do. So I ended up switching over to DC, and ever since then, man, I love my job. Like being a firefighter, like it's nice. Like
Yeah, it's
I have a
cool,
lot of
bro.
fun doing it.
Have you had to travel much? You know, the military.
So our ship hasn't went like overseas or anything, but we've been out in the ocean. The longest I've been out there was like a month, a little over a month. So being on a ship for a month, it's pretty tough.
Side question: Have you seen any have you had any dope sightings on the ship?
Any what?
Like sightings of like animals or?
Oh yeah, and you see everything. I've seen sharks, I've seen whales, dolphins.
That's dope, bro.
I've seen actually other country ships. Like I've seen like a British ship while we're out there, and their ships are like they look nice too. Like I mean, they're just as big as ours. Like
Mm.
it's crazy to see different like countries. Like
Yeah, 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 bro.
especially where I work now. Like I see like we have like people that represent them. So we have like every country. Like every different country, like you see them in their uniforms, and you're like, man, look at that country, look at that country. Like, it's pretty cool to see.
That's dope. Hold on. Yeah, bro. And have you ever had to get on a submarine?
Oh no,
No,
I could not do that, man. I can't do it. I would not be able to do it.
Yeah, bro. Ship's one thing. Submarine, nah, bro. You can cross that
Yeah,
out for me.
that's actually volunteer,
For
like volunteer service. So they were trying to get me to be on a sub, and I was like, man, I can't do it. I got to see the sun. Like that does not sound
bro.
good to me.
I don't trust the ocean like that. But you've been in the military for what?
A
Five,
little
six,
over 4 years now.
over 4 years.
Yeah.
And what are your future plans now?
So like I said, I'm transitioning now to move back home. I'm gonna try to finish up some college. I'm pretty close to getting my degree, and then hopefully get a job at the fire department back home.
Fire department.
Kind of the career I want to do. That it's just been a lot of fun, and with my experience, like I don't see a problem trying to get on a fire
Nah,
department out there.
bro. Now with you transitioning out of the military, what's like the biggest lesson that the military taught you?
So honestly, like the military, I feel like I grew up real quick. Like moving out and being on the East Coast, like that's the farthest I've ever lived away from my parents for. Like I've been in the military over 4 years. I've been home about 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been on the ship during Christmas, during Thanksgiving. Like there's been times where like it's the holidays and you're supposed to be with your family, and I'm over there on the ship doing what I have to do. So
Yeah.
the biggest thing it's taught me is just discipline. Like to just know like you got to get this done. Like this is the job you signed up for, and this is what you're gonna do. Like there's been great times, there's been bad times, but definitely like if I could go back, I would do it again. Like it's been nothing but good life lessons coming out the military. Like for anyone that like doesn't really have like a direction, they kind of don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going to college, like you're straight out of high school and college is set up for you, like go ahead and do that. They're like that's a good move. That's a good life move. But if you're kind of like weary, you don't know if you're gonna do good in college. Like the military is there. Like the military will set you up. Like it'll get you on the straight path, bro.
That's good, bro. That's good. So where do you plan on finishing your school at?
So this whole time I've actually been taking classes online at Hancock. So I'm almost
cool,
done with my degree out there. So
that's cool, bro. Hey, bro, sports is
I
never too late, bro.
I might mess around and try to get on a team out there.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's never too late, bro. I remember at Santa Barbara, I played with a cat who was 27. I played against a cat at Orange Coast. I think he was in his 30s with a full-on family. Yeah, so like if you've never played in college, bro,
I still got my eligibility. I still got 4 years. So.
Yeah, matter of fact, a dude that I knew, his name is Graves. He was out here in the Air Force, and then once he got out, he went and played safety at Hancock.
I remember Graves.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Exactly. Like you get some of these dudes that they be in their 30s and they want to play, bro. So it's never a dead dream if you want to hop back on the team, bro.
Oh,
and Hancock's actually been.
I think I'm gonna try that.
Hancock's been pretty good these last few years at football too.
Damn.
Yeah, I forget which bowl game they won. Yeah, Hancock in athletics has turned it around, bro. Their basketball team is legit now.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Because I remember Joe playing quarterback for SBCC. He should have been the starter, bro.
Hey, that was kind of crazy to me too. When I seen him playing, I was like,
I forget. You came up and seen us a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe played quarterback, bro. In my opinion, he should have been the starter, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I understood why he did it, but I tried to keep him playing that next year because that'd have been his team. But, yeah, bro. So
baseball that was like his main goal at that time.
Yeah, and then he just ended up getting hurt, and it was misdiagnosed, and there's been a bad story from there. But, bro, yeah, try out, bro. About, I ain't never played cornerback or safety, but it seems like it's a lot of instincts. And I don't think your instincts have died.
No, I mean, if I get back on that field and they give me a good year of training, I'm going to do some damage.
There you go, bro. Get you a scholarship. That's what I mean. Like, I hooped in Santa Barbara, and I ended up going playing football for D3.
Yeah.
So, anything can happen. So, before we get up out of here, I'm going to get your gamer tag because I see you be playing that Warzone game.
Oh, man. Hey, for anybody that's going to listen to this, you're going to have to add me. I got a whole clan, MT400. We got hella people on it. So
I seen you been going with Corey, BJ, Tori.
Yeah, Tori, Ruben, Lil Ruben.
Oh, Lil Ruben, man.
We be on the game, man.
Yeah,
we be getting dubs.
Sorry, I'm gonna download that game. I'm gonna hop on the squad.
Yeah, I'll send you my gamer tag. Actually, my shit's RuFilthy25 on Xbox. So no underscore, nothing, just RuFilthy25.
Say less, G. Appreciate you coming in, bro. Like, I appreciate you taking the time out your quarantine life to do an interview with me.
No problem, bro. It's been good catching up with you,
Hell yeah, bro. We gotta talk a little bit more. It's been far too long, so we're gonna stay in touch a little bit more now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming in. This has been Untold Sports Stories with Gerardo Byrne. This has been Ruben Venegas, and we will have more content up for you very shortly. Appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yeah, later.